final week of the Ben Garcia show, where we can talk the final, it feels like it's the final stages of the Kevin Durant trade saga, as well as a little bit of a wild card here. Let's talk some Arizona Cardinals. Let's talk their potential of being NFC West champions. Let's talk next.
The Ben Garcia show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like callus. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia show.
What is up, guys? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia show. Thank you so much for making me a part of your day. The final show of the week here on the Ben Garcia show, because what? We're a Monday through Thursday show. We take Fridays off because we're just not hard workers here. I think that's how I perfectly describe myself. Someone that just isn't really interested in working very hard, just likes to take the easy route, and mostly because Fridays are meant to relax, recharge, not get up at 7 a.m. and do a sports show for you guys in the morning. But either way, guys, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and potentially tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show. Or maybe you just want to keep it all to yourself. You just want to keep this show in your grubby little hands, and you want to be selfish. And you know what? I kind of get that as well. All right, guys. Let's get the final show of the week out of the way. Aaron, Michael, appreciate you guys both being in the chat this morning. I'm sure there'll be some more guys popping in as well. But let's start here. The Kevin Durant trade saga is starting to really heat up. And I've got to be honest with you guys. If you're a Phoenix Suns fan, I think it's time to get a little bit more optimistic about what a potential Kevin Durant trade can look like. And the reasoning for that would be this. There are a lot of fans out there that are in my comment section or in Locked On Suns' comment section consistently and nauseatingly tweeting every time you talk about a Kevin Durant trade saga and say, man, Jeremy Sohan, the 14th overall pick, Devin Vassell, and the number 12 overall pick, and Harrison Barnes and Jeremy Sohan. Man, that is just way too much for Kevin Durant. It's hilarious the amount of fans that are so against a Kevin Durant trade and trading anything of substance for him, but they all know he's going to be a part of their franchise. Like, take Spurs fans, for instance. They all want Kevin Durant, but in the same breath, they could acknowledge how great Kevin Durant is, how much they want him as a part of their organization, but then also say, oh, but you're not getting anything because he's a 37-year-old bum. You can't have it both ways. You can't say in one breath, man, who wouldn't want a player that was just one season removed from a 50, 40, 90 season and averages 25, 5, and 5. And then say to yourself, oh, but that guy's not worth anything. He's not worth anything. You have to pick a lane. Either Kevin Durant is a washed 37-year-old scrub who doesn't know how to play basketball anymore, or he's still one of the top 12 players in the NBA, and it's going to cost you more than a bag of Cheez-Its to bring him to your team. And I'm of the or I guess I should say the minority at this point, where I think Kevin Durant is going to go for more than you think, not less. And here's where I go with that. I tweeted out something last night about Matt Ishbia. And I tweeted out this. And I got a little bit of interest on social media. Final thought of the night. I think we might all be overlooking Matt Ishbia's ability to negotiate and make deals. He's an ultra-successful businessman and knows a thing or two about cutting a deal. Just something to ponder when the Suns could get fleeced in a trade. I am not saying Matt Ishbia is a shark when it comes to GMing in the NBA. I'm not saying he's Danny Ainge or Brad Stevens or Rob Pelinka and the Luka Doncic deal. I'm not saying he's one of those. I'm not saying he's Pat Riley. I'm not saying he's one of those elite level tier general managers. But here's why I think Matt Ishbia might be the right guy for the job in any Kevin Durant deal. If there's one thing Matt Ishbia is, I would say, insanely prideful. I would say that this guy will do anything to prove to people he is an awesome general manager and an awesome owner in the NBA. It's already wildly reported that he is going to be spearheading this Kevin Durant trade saga, this Phoenix Suns trade saga. He's going to be spearheading it. He's going to be the one calling the GMs. He's going to be the one haggling over pricing. I think Matt Ishbia knows this is his one chance for a while to win all Phoenix Suns fans back. And the Phoenix Suns not only want to get a good deal for Kevin Durant, they don't have a choice. And I think Ishbia knows that. If they don't completely nail the Kevin Durant trade, it could snowball into an effect that eventually leads Devin Booker out that door too. They have to continue to put something around Devin Booker. And if they don't, it could completely snowball everything they do as a franchise. And it could snowball all the way down to losing Devin Booker and going down the drain as an organization for the next 10 years. So he knows he has to get this right. Ishbia might be so stubborn on a Kevin Durant trade that teams might understand that they might have to do a 3-4 team deal to get everything the Phoenix Suns want and more to make things satisfied to them. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I am not a fan at all of the accounts that were doing everything they can to get likes and retweets on a Kevin Durant trade. But my guy Brendan Clean from Locked On Phoenix Suns pointed this out to me last night, that it is interesting that they're all tweeting the same thing. Last night, Ari Report, who again I don't know anything about. It's one of those underground Twitter accounts that sometimes gets things right, sometimes doesn't. Flex from Jersey, who is a very nice guy, but is incredibly spotty in his reporting and hasn't been right on a whole lot recently. And DeColdis, who I have so many issues with because he doesn't put a face to a name on his account. He's mostly wrong. But one of two things was true last night. Either all three of these guys are right, and that's why they're all tweeting out the same thing last night about a potential Kevin Durant deal, or they all have the same source, and that's why they're all wrong all the time. So it's either one or the other. I didn't think at first it was anything until my buddy Brandon Clean pointed out to me. It is something that they're all tweeting out at the same time, and all tweeting out that the Suns look like they're going to get a haul. If these guys, I just don't know why you would tweet that if you weren't 1,000% sure that something big could be coming back to the Suns. And the reasoning for that is this. These guys are almost never right. And so when you tweet so confidently that the Suns could be getting back a real haul for Kevin Durant, whatever that looks like, maybe it's subjective. Maybe they think it's a haul and I don't think it's a haul. I do think that's something. Now I will continue to say, don't believe these accounts until they actually get something right consistently. Not just one-off things. Wait for real reporting. But I did think it was interesting last night that they were all tweeting out the same thing at the same time. And when my guy Brendan Clean told me that, I was like, that's a decent point. And all of this to say that I think the Suns have a chance to get back more for Kevin Durant, not less. because Matt Ishbia is a stubborn businessman. And there's a deal out there that could help out all parties. But if you're asking me who I feel more confident in a Kevin Durant trade, Brian Gregory or Matt Ishbia, I wouldn't want either guy going to bat for me. But if I'm just comparing those two, Matt Ishbia, and it's not close. Matt Ishbia is a businessman. He's built companies up from nothing. He's incredibly smart. He's a shark in the business world. He has been in more negotiations than probably any of the other NBA GMs have. And I think that is going to be helpful. And because he knows just how massive this Kevin Durant deal is, and they cannot screw it up, I think there's a chance that the Suns get back more than we think, not less. Now, what does that mean? It means maybe they get back Jeremy Sohan, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, the number 14th overall pick, and another pick. If that's the case, you got to take that if you're the Suns. Or maybe there's a world where the Suns get Stephon Castle. And it's Castle, Vassell, Barnes, and maybe a distant first. Maybe. I don't know. That seems unlikely to me. But it is interesting to see the way the things are trending. The guys that are kind of unreliable who are tweeting about it, and the guys like Shams Charania and Gambo talking about the market that is starting to be robust when it comes to Kevin Durant. So I think you should be more optimistic than pessimistic when it comes to a Kevin Durant deal. Ishbia is a stubborn businessman, and yes, he's made bad deals in the past. Before angry person in the comment section tries to tell me about the Cam McHale trade, Rudy Gobert had just been traded for 5 first-round picks. 4 first-round picks and a pick swap. Kevin Durant was always going to go for 4 first-round picks and a pick swap. That was the starting price. Like 5 months earlier, Rudy Gobert got traded. Kevin Durant was seen as a much better player than Rudy Gobert. Cam, and I know you love Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. Suns fans have completely overvalued them. What has Cam Johnson done? What has Mikal Bridges done? Bridges has had a tough stretch over the last couple of seasons. Cam Johnson has been rotting in Brooklyn. They're good players, guys, but they're no more than that. Just good players. And that takes me to the other one, the Bradley Beal trade. I don't know why everyone keeps forgetting, but it actually pisses me off. You gave up nothing for Bradley Beal. You just absorbed a terrible contract. But at the time, every Suns fan and their mother was over the moon to get Bradley Beal for Chris Paul and Landry Shamet. You hated Landry Shamet, and Chris Paul was 40. He was deteriorating. He was old. Wasn't the same player. Barely played with the Warriors the next season. Didn't make the playoffs with the Spurs the following season. And you gave up a bunch of pick swaps that will never be exercised because do you want to know why? The Wizards are never going to be worse than the Suns. The Wizards are never going to be better than the Suns. Well, how do you know that? The last 50 years tell me that. And now, as well, you gave up second-round picks. And no, I don't really care about second-round picks. They're a currency in the NBA. You can get them all the time. I just don't care. I mean, Nick Richards was traded for 3 second-round picks a couple of months ago. They don't matter that much. They just don't. So keep your eye out. I think a decent Kevin Durant trade could be in the works. I'm not saying believe all the nonsense reporting that was going on last night. In fact, I'd say for the most part, don't. But it was interesting that all the accounts that seem to be aggregating and don't actually seem to know anything are all getting told the same thing. So that's where I would land on that. Interesting stuff from last night. All right. Woo! Final topic of the week. Guys, the NFC West is in a down year. And you say to yourself, could this be the year the Arizona Cardinals win the NFC West? Here's why, at first, I'm picking against the Cardinals to win the NFC West. I don't think it's impossible. I actually think it's like if we were divvying it up in percentage chances, I'd go Los Angeles Rams 60%, maybe 55%. Let's say 55%. But my math is going to start to get a little mucky here. And then you go Arizona Cardinals at 20%. So that's 75% right there, if my math is correct. And you give another 20% to the Los Angeles Rams. I got to do my math here. I'm sorry, to the San Francisco 49ers. So if you went 55 and then 35 and then 15 and then 5. If I'm not mistaken, that's where my math would be when it came to a deal. Yeah, that's not right. Let's just say it like this. If we're divvying up what the NFC West could look like next season, I think the Rams are for sure the clear-cut favorite, with the Arizona Cardinals being a team that, if Kyler Murray finally plays consistent football, is right up there neck and neck with them. The San Francisco 49ers are a wild card strictly because their schedule is a complete and utter cakewalk. I think they have the worst roster potentially in the division. And the Seahawks, I think, are embracing at least a 1 to 2 year rebuild because I don't believe in Sam Darnold. Here's why I'm picking the Los Angeles Rams, though. Matt Stafford is a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. Let's just not argue about it. Let's call him top 8. Sean McVay is a top 5 coach in the NFL. That defense is going to take another stride in year 2 because it was young, it's frisky, it's twitchy. That's a good, really good defense. I can't consciously pick the Cardinals to win the division because they're just a little young for right now. If Kyler Murray plays really consistent football, that's when you can talk about the Cardinals potentially winning the division. Sean McVay is too good of a head coach. Matt Stafford is too good of a quarterback for the Cardinals. And that defense, coming into year 2, Jared Verse and company, that is a defense that I think is going to be in the better half of the NFL. The Cardinals are just too young defensively. Maybe they are awesome, but I can't project them to be the best team in the division because I don't know what I have. I think Walter Nolan is going to be good, but I'm not sure. He's a rookie. I have to wait for him to play at least a handful of games. I think Will Johnson is going to be great, but I have to see him for 8 games. The defensive line. How do I know Calais Campbell isn't going to fall off a cliff now? Would it really be that surprising? I trust Jonathan Gannon and this coaching staff, but it's going to come down to beating the Rams 2 times this season. I don't think there's a world where the Arizona Cardinals can beat them only once and win the division. I just think it's too much of a tall task to climb. Because if you beat the Rams, you not only beat them, but you have the tiebreaker. It's effectively a 3-game cushion if you tie with the Los Angeles Rams. But if you get in a world where you're tied and the Rams, you just trust them down the stretch more, it's hard for me to pick that team to not win the division. But at the end of the day, guys, the person that can change this team from being a frisky playoff team to a legitimate Super Bowl contender is Kyler Murray. It all comes back to the quarterback, guys. It just does. And it always will. Kyler, when I talk about this team being a potential Super Bowl team, which I do think, I don't think is crazy. I do think the NFL season is often weird, and with all the talent the Arizona Cardinals have, it's a small chance, but a chance nonetheless, that the Cardinals could be a team competing for the Super Bowl this season. And to that you'd say, well, come on, that's crazy. Yeah, it is. That's why I said it's a 5%, 10% chance. But what would raise that floor and give you a real chance is if Kyler Murray can effectively be a top 8 quarterback in the NFL, there is no world where the Arizona Cardinals can't be a Super Bowl contender. The Cardinals will go as far as Kyler Murray can take them. Good defense, fine offense can only take you so far. Look at the Minnesota Vikings last year. They were fraudulent. Sam Darnold got his pants pulled down in consecutive weeks against a better quarterback and against a better coach. And you look at the Vikings and you say, well, man, they looked good pretty much everywhere last year. You know, you had, who was the Miami Dolphins? You had Brian Flores calling the defense. And you had Kevin O'Connell calling that offense. There's Andrew Van Ginkel went insane last year for the Minnesota Vikings. I believe that's who it was on the defensive line. They were effectively a very good team last year. But the team's only going to go as far as the quarterback takes them. This season continues to be on Kyler Murray. If you want to be a team that has a chance to be a Super Bowl contender or win the division, all roads come back to Kyler Murray. I don't care how good Will Johnson is. I don't care how good Walter Nolan is. If Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray are not on the same page and Drew doesn't trust Kyler to throw the ball downfield effectively and Kyler Murray doesn't cut down on his mistakes, this team is nothing more than a fringe playoff team for the foreseeable future. But if we go into another season where Kyler Murray is inconsistent and post-bye teams start to figure him out and he hasn't adjusted for that in year 7, then we're going to have a problem. We're not talking about divisions and Super Bowls. We're talking about, can this team stack up with the rest of the NFC West for the next 2 seasons? The one thing that can ruin this rebuild is if Kyler Murray isn't awesome. It's why when people accuse me of being anti-Kyler Murray, I just laugh. It's just stupid. If Kyler Murray isn't consistent, isn't the answer at quarterback, the rebuild never gets finished. You have all these nice, shiny toys, but no quarterback to help figure it out, and you'll never be drafting high enough because you have too much talent. The Cardinals had their chance to take their replacement last year with the 4 overall pick. They decided against it. Now, do I agree with that? Yeah, because Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams were all off the board at that point. I don't think Bo Nix was the answer. I don't think Michael Penix was the answer. So all roads come back to Kyler Murray. Can Kyler be the guy? Can he be consistent? And this is the final chance to do so. I don't think it's 100% that Kyler Murray is not back next year if this team underperforms. And most of it's Kyler Murray's fault. Because I don't know what the better option is. You can't tank. The team's too good. So when you talk about winning the division next year, ultimately it's going to come down to Kyler. Kyler has to perform. Kyler has to be better. I don't care how good the defense is. I don't care how good the head coaching is. Kyler Murray is going to be the answer on if this team can be a division winner, and if things fall right in their lap, potentially a dark horse Super Bowl contender. You're not getting to the Super Bowl, even with all the luckiest breaks, with a Sam Darnold level quarterback. Do you remember what happened with Blake Bortles in the AFC Championship game or Case Keenum in the NFC Championship game? You can only go so far. If Kyler Murray can play up to the level of Jalen Hurts, which I think is perfectly capable, a run first, but also very accurate quarterback, that's when you talk about the Arizona Cardinals being division winners. But you can't talk about that until we know what Kyler Murray is going to look like. If the Cardinals want to be a Super Bowl contender, Kyler's got to be an MVP level candidate. But if he But if you want to be a division winner, Kyler Murray's got to be consistent and play as good ball from week 1 to week 18. You know, I saw some predictions last week from PHNX Sports from my guys Johnny Venerable, great dude, and Eric Ruby, also great dude. But they put out these predictions for Kyler Murray a couple of days ago, and I was pretty stunned. Johnny Venerable had Kyler Murray, this was his prediction for this year, 4,100 yards passing, 27 touchdowns, 600 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. Eric Ruby had 4,000 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 700 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns. This is where I think we are starting to overvalue Kyler Murray again just a little bit. Because it is year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for Kyler Murray. And he's never thrown for 4,000 passing yards. Yet both guys have him throwing for over 4,000 passing yards. He's never thrown for 28 touchdowns in his career. And both guys have him throwing for 27 or 28 touchdowns. That's at least one more than his highest ever. He's only rushed for over 600 yards once in his career. And both guys have him over 600 yards. And he's only and they both have him for 7 rushing touchdowns minimum. Kyler has only had over 5 rushing touchdowns once in his career. It's just, we might be overvaluing Kyler. It might be that start of the year where we're starting to overvalue Kyler Murray just a little bit. Nothing against those guys. They might have a better grip on it than I do. But I think just assuming Kyler Murray is going to be awesome next year is a little bit of a stretch. That's all it is. It's a little bit of a stretch. I understand the schedule isn't great. But if the Cardinals want to be a Super Bowl contender or a prime playoff contender, it all comes down to Kyler Murray. The defense could be awesome. The wide receivers could be great. The running backs could be good. The offensive line could be fine. The coaching staff could be spectacular. But at the end of the day, if Kyler is inconsistent, we saw this story last year. They were 6-4 through 11 weeks, and they completely defecated all over themselves. This year comes down to Kyler Murray, like it or not. And that's where I would go with that, guys. Appreciate you guys making the Ben Garcia Show a part of your day. My guy Aaron, not thrilled with me this morning. Blake Bortles was a ripped-off call touchdown away from going to the Super Bowl. He played well. I don't know if I would say Blake Bortles played well. I'd say he let the defense do enough to potentially allow them to win. But I get what you're saying. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, potentially even follow me. Potentially even tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show. Appreciate you guys. Remember, we are a Monday through Thursday show. No shows on Friday. This weekend is going to be an insane weekend for me. Can't wait to, talk to you guys about that. Potentially in a couple weeks. We'll see how things start to continue to shape out. Meetings are going well, and, who knows? Maybe the Ben Garcia Show, has to figure out different time slots. But for now, I will see you guys on Monday at 7 a.m. Arizona time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Tell me why you love me. Tell me why you hate me. DM me a question. I love talking to you guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And until Monday, it's been the Ben Garcia Show. See you guys on Monday.